Last night, I went to an event that was the holiday showing put on by my friend Anne-Marie. I have a revised opinion about Jack Black in that movie.
Okay.
Which is that they let him be silly, finally, when him and Kate Winslet are finally starting to get close, and he's stopping being with the actress. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that the distinction isn't big enough.
I see what you're talking about, especially when they're, like, in the blockbuster, basically.
Yeah. And when they're writing the songs.
Yeah.
Oh, my other Jack Black news of the week, welcome to Mackenna's Jack Black Corner, is that there was an interview with Elle Fanning where she was talking about how attractive Jack Black is, and then someone showed it to Jack Black, and he said something where he's like, man, body dysmorphia really gets you, huh?
Real.
Aubrey, I was gonna say, in a positive way, you look like at the moment, like if like the Dune sandworm was just hella cozy.
I'm wearing this like strange pajama set my mom got me last year that is just like the thickest, fluffiest material I've ever seen, and when I put it on, it just feels like I'm wearing a parka on my whole body.
And it also like goes right up to like past, like it's like encroaching onto your cheeks. And so it's really giving Dune sandworm.
It has a strangely high neck for pajamas.
Yeah, it's almost like Jedi robes. Like you look like a Padawan.
And every time I wear this, people are like, "Are you in a robe right now?" No. How dare you assume that?
Well, speaking of losing your robe, welcome to Informed Attraction, a podcast all about how you cannot be the man in the big red robe unless you have a wife, goddammit! Hosted by one Santa who was slowly becoming not Santa anymore, and one giant toy Santa who is becoming a little murderous. My name is Mackenna Goodrich.
I'm Dr. Aubrey Hoffer.
And welcome to the Santa Claus Part 2 on the Santa Claus 2. And if you can believe it, it's me and Aubrey's try number 2 at recording this episode because my computer once again committed an act of a crime against me while we recorded it the first time. And I just want to say, it feels really specific that it happened again when we were doing another episode about another conservative. I'm just saying, Joe Rogan and Tim Allen are trying to silence us.
They're working together, guys. And
they're working. It's a conspiracy. Also, hello to any worst of all possible world fans who have stuck around since AJ being on. We're AJ-less today, but I still hope you can enjoy the dulcet tones of Aubrey and I's voice.
Yeah, but if you send us an email at informedattraction@gmail.com and you offer to give us money for a Patreon, I promise a portion of that will go into trying to buy AJ. Name your price, and we will get him.
And today we will be continuing our conversation about the Santa Claus trilogy plus TV series with the one that I've seen the most, the Santa Claus Part 2, The Escape Clause, which is, as I stated, about how Scott Calvin has to get a wife or he does not get to be Santa anymore. And that's just what they decided to go with for this one.
What I think is interesting about this movie is that the idea of Santa Claus, right, like the visual image we have of Santa Claus is so clear that the first Santa Claus is based around this physical transformation of the horror of becoming a jolly, bearded, gift-giving man. But Mrs. Claus is so much more nebulous in her appearance and how she's defined. And, there are some depictions of Mrs. Claus that are older, younger, fat, thin, different types of characterizations of her personality. So I think it says a lot about a piece of media that has Mrs. Claus. how they decide that they want to portray her.
And yeah, and thus like the Mrs. Claus we see in this movie does not undergo a big physical transformation the way that the Santa Claus does in the first movie. So we're gonna talk more about what that means here as we get going. All right, Aubrey, are you ready to talk through the plot of the Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause?
Tell me all about the plot of the Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause.
A movie that you did also watch, but hey, that was at this point years ago, eons ago, weeks ago even.
It was like last week, and
yeah.
I've lost all sense of time. I don't know what's happening. I'm addicted to prescription painkillers.
No, that one's not true. That one's definitely, unless we need to have an offline conversation about something that's changed in the past 2 weeks.
Unless.
Okay, so this movie, we mentioned this last time, but the cold open of this movie is very strange and represents a militarized Santa that I wasn't expecting to see this early on, but is sort of foreshadowing for the events of the film. I completely forgot about it despite seeing this movie many times. I think it's because I've mostly watched this movie when it's like on TV, and so often I feel like with movies on TV, I get into it like 10 minutes after it started. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, the Santa Claus 2 only started, the Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause only started 10 minutes ago, might as well watch it. So it's like, I feel like I haven't seen the cold open very often.
Did you have any TV specials that you were obsessed with as a kid that were Christmas themed? Last night I made Josh watch Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer.
Oh, I do remember that one.
Which is like 55 minutes, but it played on Cartoon Network like every night of December, my entire childhood. And so it's just ingrained in my brain with like childhood nostalgia. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I don't have any Christmas ones like that, I don't think. I do feel that way about the film Hoodwinked.
I love Hoodwinked. I used to take my DVD of Hoodwinked to every sleepover, slumber party, whatever, and make people watch it. And I watched it not too long ago. It is still fucking hilarious.
Yeah, it's a great film. That looks janky as hell, but is a great film.
That adds to the charm.
It does add to the charm that it's like it's a little chopped, as the youths say.
Dare I say it, I actually think Hoodwinked is like ha funnier than Shrek. Shrek is a better movie in every possible way, but Hoodwinked has bars.
Yeah, it does. It does. Also, like, the song that the bunny sings when he reveals himself to be... Sorry, spoilers for the film Hoodwinked. When he reveals himself to be the villain, his little villain song is fucking iconic.
My favorite joke in Hoodwinked is a character says, you can't arrest a guy for being creepy, and then one of the pigs who are cops, because Hoodwinked is based, he gets on his little walkie-talkie and he's like, hey, we gotta let the guy out of cell 3. And on the walkie-talkie, you hear the other pig go, the creepy one?
That's awesome. Well, at the beginning of the Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause, there is a group of, I think, like, people who are looking for oil flying over the North Pole, and they start to get a little bloop, 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 bloop on the radar. And so the elves and Santa go through the process of trying to get them off the radar, and they start moving up through multiple ElfCons. ElfCon 1, well, it starts like ElfCon 5, and it goes all the way up to ElfCon 1. And they, like, basically get themselves off the map, but the people are still hearing the sound of a Christmas song, and they're like, where is this coming from? And that's when we meet Curtis, because Curtis is laying in the sleigh, listening to Christmas music out loud, and almost revealed the entire location of the North Pole.
I fucking hate Curtis.
Aubrey does have beef with Curtis.
I hate him. This is why men are just allowed to do whatever they want in professional workspaces. If Curtis was a woman, she would have been fired.
It's crazy to me too that I feel like I feel like I've only seen Spencer Breslin in. That's not true. I've seen Spencer Breslin in exactly 2 things, which is the Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause. The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. Okay, this is way more things. The Cat in the Hat film and The Princess Diaries 2, Royal Engagement. And as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, yes, Spencer Breslin. I'm like, why is that an actor's name that is just, like, imprinted on my brain?
He's Abigail Breslin's brother. That's why.
I guess.
Hey, he's got a podcast of himself, Spencer and Laura's Vomitorium Podcast.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't think we get to have Spencer Breslin on the podcast now that you've said that you hate Curtis so much.
Divorced. He's 33 and divorced. So you're saying there's a chance. There is a chance. Let's see. What's he looking like these days? Let's see. Smash or pass Spencer Breslin. I mean, here's the thing. Some people, when you see pictures of themselves as children, you're like, oh, you just got bigger. Like, you're just
the same but larger?
Yeah, you're just the exact same, but now you're adult proportions. Whereas some people, you're like, okay, I see you as a child. I see how you transformed into an adult. Spencer Breslin is the former. That said, I'm sure he's a great, nice guy. As soon as I saw what he looked like now, I was like, oh, you just look like Spencer Breslin in the Santa Claus 2, but now in an adult body.
That's how I feel about Thomas Brody Sangster.
Yeah.
Like, he just got taller, but he still looks the exact same in the face.
Well, he just is, like, chronic baby face.
Yeah. That's just a man who got taller.
Isn't he, like, weirdly conservative now?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the British.
I think he is. I want to say him and, like, I want to say he, like, married, like, a weird conservative lady. If I'm wrong, sorry, guys.
He's married to Tallulah Riley, who I think we established dated Elon Musk in a previous episode.
Okay.
Was married to Elon Musk twice, in fact. This is it's crazy for your spouses to be Elon Musk twice and then Thomas Brody Sangster.
Well, we all have our crosses to bear, don't we?
Which is and you know what? I'm grateful that mine is not being married to Elon Musk twice.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. My parents also divorced each other and then remarried each other. Crazy dynamic.
It's wild to me that I have 3 friends who are in that situation. It's like that has happened to 3 people who are not only like peripheral friends, but 3 people I am very close to.
You have a draw to you from people whose parents divorced each other and then remarried each other.
It's true, because 3 is a lot.
3 starts to become more than just a pattern.
8 years after becoming Santa Claus, Scott Calvin learns from the head elf Bernard and Curtis, the keeper of the Handbook of Christmas, that there is a hidden Mrs. Claus. From the writers of Space Jam. It states that Santa must be married by Christmas Eve or he will lose his position forever. At the same time, because Scott cannot catch a break in this movie, Scott is told that his now teenage son Charlie has landed on the naughty list for vandalizing his school in an attempt to get attention, and also maybe to kiss a girl.
You can tell, too, this is such a Disney movie because we're supposed to be worried about Charlie's morality, and it's like he was with a girl and almost vandalized. There are people who do heroin.
Right. Well, it's like, I think about, like, I had a friend in high school who got so drunk at, like, some sort of, like, school leadership club thing that he got so drunk at a school-sanctioned event during high school that he had to sleep in the bushes outside of the hotel because he could not find his key. He's a lawyer now. The person I'm speaking about is a lawyer now.
Well, and now he's addicted to cocaine. I knew a kid in high school who, during school hours, had vodka in his water bottle. He's probably also a lawyer. I don't know.
He's probably or dead.
He's alive.
Oh, you know he's alive.
Well, not at this exact moment. Last time I did the rounds, checking in on every person I could remember who I went to high school with, he was alive.
Okay, all right.
Do you do that periodically? Like, just, you think of every person you can, like, peripherally remember from high school, and you're like, oh my god, I forgot that Megan McAllister existed, and then you look up Megan McAllister, and you're like, wow, she's a person.
But it'll more be like one-offs. I did just find out, because they're planning my, like, 10-year high school reunion right now, I did just find out that, like, at minimum 7 people from my high school class have died.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And we're, like, only 2 years apart in high school.
I know, and one of those is not your brother, so I can also confirm, based on the list that I have received, that your brother is alive.
Great. I got a text from him, like, 20 minutes ago, so...
it's actually him. No one's pretending to be him.
Thank God. Well, I say I got a text from my brother. I do daily trivia with my family, And so that's... that way I don't have to actually talk to them. I just send them my quizzle every day.
Yeah. So Scott must return home to both find a wife and repair his relationship with Charlie. We'll remind everyone at this juncture that the plot of the first movie is that the whole Scott being Santa thing kind of fixes his relationship with Charlie. And then sort of the plot of this movie is the whole Scott being Santa sort of ruining his relationship with Charlie. So we have a like cyclical force going on in these films.
It's whatever's convenient for that moment.
Yeah, and then we're introduced to the Council of Legendary Figures, who are Mother Nature, Father Time, Cupid, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy, and the Sandman. 2 things on the Council of Legendary Figures. Number 1, Aubrey and I both think that Aisha Tyler as Mother Nature is maybe the most beautiful a woman has ever been.
Yeah.
It's actually unreal how ethereal and perfect she is. And thing 2 is... a movie that is related to this council is Rise of the Guardians. It has, like, nothing directly to do with these guys, but it is, like, they're kind of the same group of people. And I know a lot of little Gen Z freaks wanted to make love to that Jack Frost. So if you want us to do a Rise of the Guardians episode, Aubrey, where should they email?
informedattraction@gmail.com.
Oh, also Jude Law was the villain in that movie. I didn't know that. I found that out just right now.
Just like in real life.
Chris Pine, Jude Law, Hugh Jackman, Alec Baldwin. Oh, my friend saw Alec Baldwin in the coffee shop recently, and he looked really confused. When the Council of Legendary Figures arrives for updates, Scott shares his predicament. To cover his absence from the North Pole, Curtis helps him create an animatronic Santa clone. No one likes this, least of all Bernard.
I find the Santa clone unsettling. Mackenna finds it fuckable. This is a watershed moment for this podcast because this is the first time this has ever happened.
I know. Scott begins a desantification process that slowly turns him back into his old self, confirming once again that he does have the Santa parasite living within him, and that the Santa parasite must be fed via wife. And frankly, via dick, because it's like, it's looking for a baby is really what it's looking for.
It demands sacrifice.
It
demands
does.
Flesh.
Yes, it does. The Santa parasite demands flesh. With his remaining magic... Oh, also, this is like a part of it that, like, Scott gets told because he's desantifying that he only has, like, a limited amount of Christmas magic he can use. And may I say, he uses it with great frivolity in this film.
He immediately starts using it for the worst reasons.
Yes. So he returns home to visit Laura, Neil, their daughter Lucy, and Charlie. And so this is just also pointing out that we are introduced to a new child in this movie because now Charlie's a bum-ass teenager, so he's not interesting anymore. So we get introduced to a tiny, beautiful ginger child named Lucy, who is the child of Laura and Neil. And I like Lucy. I want to even say I love Lucy.
Well, and they have a great relationship where Lucy calls Scott Uncle Scott, and it shows that their blended family has had some kind of closeness. Again, which makes, like, the relationship with Scott and Charlie kind of weird in this movie, because we're supposed to believe that Scott has been absent, and that's why Charlie is now acting out, but then he has this very close relationship with his younger half-sister Lucy, so...
Well, I wonder, I do wonder, though, like, the difference between... like how often you're trying to see your uncle when you're 8 years old versus how often you're trying to see your dad as you're growing up is like a different scale.
Yeah.
So that to me is a little bit more justified. I think it could have been addressed with more nuance in this movie I think they could have like parsed out that difference a little bit better. But I do think that is the difference there.
They also got rid of Laura's cunty art school bob that she had in the Santa Claus. R.I.P.
She's a mother now.
We lost her back. She was a mother to Charlie.
Well, she's a mother to a daughter now.
Lucy is her real child.
Yeah. A child of the marriage that she's going to stay in.
Yeah.
Charlie's vandalism introduces Scott to school principal Carol Newman. Sure, she won't come back into play later.
Carol, like the songs you sing at Christmas time!
Hark at the bell, sweet silver bell, all seem to say, throw kiss away. Back at the North Pole, the toy Santa clone begins. Back at the North Pole, the toy Santa clone... Whoa.
Santa Webkins?
You're talking about the hot curio shop dog in Webkins?
Whoa. I'm gonna now reference a TikTok that you're not going to know, and maybe 4 people on this podcast would, but there is this woman who has like 12 kids, and her thing on TikTok is she always posts what she puts in their lunches, and she has a very specific voice, so it'll be like, and a yogurt, and a blah, and a blah, and then one day she's making like the Christmas lunches, and then she goes, and a black Santa napkin, and then that became a thing on TikTok where people would mimic her going, a black Santa napkin.
Is the napkin black with Santas on it?
It is. The Santas themselves are black on the napkin.
I see.
We didn't talk at all about race of Santa in the last episode. There's not really a lot to say. It's just most of the time Santa is white, and then sometimes he's black.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Claus is almost always white and is occasionally black. We had the first black Mrs. Claus in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade in like 2023, which is crazy town.
What is it? Oh gosh. John Green's book Paper Towns, where there's someone who has like a collection of black Santas.
That's absolutely hilarious.
Yes. Radar from Paper Towns has a collection of he collects black Santas.
Is that a black character or?
I don't remember. I haven't read Paper Towns in a long time.
Fantastic. I just watched the Family Guy Hulu Christmas special, and it wasn't really good. It was okay. They just did a parody of Hallmark movies, and then I watched the other ones that they had made, and I think the one from maybe 2022, the main plot point is that Meg sits on Santa's lap with Stewie, and he bounces her on his knee, and she has an orgasm, and then she's attracted to Santa and trying to track him down.
They do that with Meg a lot in a way. We've talked about that before in a way that's a little problematic. So what I was trying to say before I accidentally said Webkins, back at the North Pole, the toy Santa clone begins reading the rule book literally. He concludes that nearly everyone is naughty. He begins asserting control over the elves, builds giant toy soldiers, and announces a plan to give coal to the entire world. I did like the giant toy soldiers. I think that is very fun.
Yeah, I just think this movie is so convoluted where it could have easily just been the plot of Scott trying to get a wife.
Yes.
But then they include this side plot, I'm assuming because they're like, we need something for the little boys who are going to watch this and be bored with a love story.
Well, I also wonder, because I think the first movie did such a good job of, having, one streamlined plot, but I think that they wanted to, include more of the North Pole in this movie, honestly. And they were like, well, we have this whole North Pole thing, so maybe we should keep something going on in the North Pole so we can have a North Pole, B-plot, basically.
Yeah, well, I think that's what a lot of people liked about the first Santa Claus, is they were like, wow, this world is so pretty and interesting. Yeah. Unfortunately, the more we get of it, the less charming it is.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's 100% correct. When Bernard attempts to expose him, based Bernard, Toy Santa confines him under house arrest. Bernard was always wearing that little funky beret because he was a comrade.
Free my man.
Free my man. Meanwhile, Scott tries dating but repeatedly fails. Primarily, he goes on a date with Molly Shannon, who shows up on the date with a Santa Claus sweater on, and then sings him Aubrey, I already forgot, even though we talked about this the first time we tried to record this. What is the parody that she sings?
It's Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Man, I Feel Like a Woman, but it's Man, I Feel Like It's Christmas.
Feel like it's Christmas. I love Molly Shannon.
And she sings that in the middle of a restaurant.
I want everyone to know that if I were to be cast in a movie, it would be for a character that is basically the exact role that Molly Shannon takes in the Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause.
And kind of what she does in most movies that she's in.
She's great. She's a scene stealer.
Yeah. I was reminded that she was the mother-in-law of Alexander Daddario in the first season of White Lotus. And I was like, oh, I forgot how much I like those 2 episodes that she's on where she's just Alexander Daddario's bitchy mother-in-law.
I love her. Molly Shannon, I want her on the podcast. I want to know her hear me outs. I want to know who gives her a little something.
Yeah, totally. So over time, Scott grows closer to Carol. I remember I said she might come back. That wasn't obvious. He joins her on a horse-drawn sleigh ride to the school's Christmas party, where she reveals she once believed in Santa until her parents made her stop.
So the exact same shit as in the first one.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I've come to is it must be that they intentionally want people to not believe in Santa Claus so people don't go looking for the North Pole. Like, that must be, like, there must be some, like, safety concern about Santa's location being known, and that's why they, like, make adults stop believing in Santa Claus, so that they don't go try to find him or something.
But then for none of them, it's that they aged out of it. For everyone, it's like, I believed in Santa until 1 year when he didn't buy me a present.
Right.
So what I'm assuming those are just fucking years where Santa got destroyed, and then the new replacement Santa just fucked up a bunch.
Or I wonder if it's even a thing of because we tend to see an age cohort, and so I wonder if it's like, hey, we gotta pick some kids this year to stop believing in Santa because they're gonna be teenagers soon and they might come looking.
Neil didn't get his weenie whistle when he was 3 years old. He never had a Christmas.
Yeah, it's true. He definitely does not have any positive memories of Christmas.
So sad.
So sad for Neil. I've noticed in general, movies are pretty anti-therapist.
Yeah, no, there's a whole... Yes. It's because most people who are writers need to go to a therapist.
Because, like, when I was watching The Holiday last night, there's a scene with Kate Winslet's character and Arthur Abbott, who's played by Eli Wallach, and they're in a restaurant, and it's the line that when he's like, you're acting like the best friend when you should be acting like the leading lady, and she's like, I've been seeing a therapist for 3 years, and like, it's never been summed up for me as well as you just did it right there, and I was like, girl, why were you seeing a bad therapist for 3 years? See a different therapist.
It's just like a good therapist will also tell you that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Yeah. And I'm a psychologist. I work with clinical psychologists who actually do see clients and stuff. And I don't know. I think that therapy is good, and people who do that work are typically the helpers of the world.
Yeah, shout out to my therapist one time. Using his fading magic, Scott turns the dull party into a joyful one.
Because he wasted all of his magic doing all the shit for Carol before this.
Yes. Scott turns the dull party into a joyful one by giving the staff their childhood dream gifts. He gives Carol a special present, a doll that she wanted as a child, wins her over, and kisses her under mistletoe. But when he tries to tell her that he is Santa, she thinks he's mocking her childhood memories and sends him away. Charlie, frustrated by Scott's absences and the burden of keeping his father's identity secret, okay, I still am like, Charlie, calm down. I'm sorry you have to lie to your friends and say that your dad's a toy maker in Canada. Grow up.
It's like Charlie...
Me to a 15-year-old boy. Grow up.
Some people have parents who are strippers.
Just some people.
No one who's a host of a podcast.
Charlie lashes out, but is comforted by Lucy. He then persuades Carol to believe Scott by showing her the enchanted snow globe that Bernard gave him. Which, as we've talked about before, he has this snow globe that we've established at the end of the last movie. If he shakes it, he could see his dad wherever he wants. So he's just not shaking the globe.
And they have a conversation about this where Scott is basically like, hey, you never shake this fucking snow globe. And Charlie's just like, yeah.
Well, it's like I get it, because it's like he wants his dad to want to see him and not have to be like magically forcing him to come see him.
Well, it's like deeply unfair to put the amount of time that you see your child on your child.
Mm-hmm.
Scott is a bad dad. Tim Allen remains a villain.
Yeah. Yes. Curtis arrives with news of Toy Santa's escalating takeover, but Scott has used the last of his magic romancing Carol and cannot return to the North Pole. So they lure the Tooth Fairy to there by trying to get one. Whose tooth are they trying to rip out?
I don't remember.
It's Scott's, right?
I think so.
I think it's Scott's. They're trying to rip out Scott's tooth. It's either Scott or Curtis, but they're trying to rip out, I think, Scott's tooth. And then Lucy comes out and is like, I lost my tooth! Yay! And that whole sequence is very fun. It's like they try to do the toaster thing. They try to have, that's a very fun sequence that is then solved by this adorable child. And then with help from the Tooth Fairy, Scott and Curtis make it back, only to be captured by Toy Santa. And that's when Charlie and Carol help free them.
Because sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I just hate the whole North Pole section of this movie, and I just feel like it is so random.
Sure.
And then just comes together at the end where it's just like, yeah, and then Carol comes and saves them, and then it's all a happily ever after. It just feels so random.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I think they didn't know how to resolve the conflict of her not believing, because like it's so clean but like it's clean but fucked up in the first movie, because it's like, because they call the cops on him, he gets arrested and they like see him being Santa Claus as a result. And it's like, so they can't pull that trick again. So I think the toy Santa thing is also this like whole convoluted way of like, okay, how do we get Carol to believe he's Santa Claus by taking her to the North Pole?
Also, you can really see the evolution of the Toy Story franchise in this movie, because when Tim Allen is Toy Santa, he's just doing Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, that's totally true. Which is, I think, why at the beginning, before he's a fascist, he's kind of sexy.
You know what? If I'm allowed to think that Tim Allen in his little short boxers in the first Santa Claus was attractive, you're allowed to have odd, waxy toy Santa in Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause.
Thank you. Toy Santa departs with the sleigh with a buttload of coal, but Scott, riding reindeer and training Chet, we haven't even talked about Chet.
I don't want to. Chet should have been put down.
They just, for some reason, make the dumbest looking reindeer in the world. Yeah. And he goes like, and it's like, okay, yeah, thanks, Chet.
That is just a joke for like the under sixes.
Yeah. The elves, joined by Carol, Bernard, Charlie, and Curtis, overthrow the toy soldiers in a massive snowball fight. Toy Santa is defeated and shrunk to doll size. Scott marries Carol, regaining his Santa form, and she becomes Mrs. Claus, which she gets a new outfit.
Yeah. And I think is her hair up? I think they do something different with her hair.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure.
And then Scott and Charlie tell Lucy that Scott is Santa Claus.
I don't feel like we really get a resolution about, like, Charlie's moral compass, despite that being the impetus of the plot.
Yeah, I don't think we do either, but I think it is, I feel like they try to kind of do that in that scene where Charlie's like, you piece of shit, and then Lucy's like, no, but I love you. I feel like that's, like, trying to do it. That's, like, his recognition, and then his reversal is taking Carol to Charlie and freeing his dad. That's what it is, but it's not clear enough. It's sort of the same flub with the Neil and Scott relationship at the end of the first movie, where it's like they don't resolve it fully, and so you get left with sort of like, oh.
Well, and then there's just the implication off screen between movies that things got better.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that's sort of the second movie. And I think, like Aubrey mentioned at the beginning, the sort of big thing in this movie is we're introduced to the concept of what Mrs. Claus is in this universe. And it's extremely distinct from what Mr. Claus is, what Santa is, because, like, Carol doesn't go through this big transformation. She does go through, like sort of a vibe shift, and that's especially present in the third movie, but like she doesn't get old and fat in the way that Scott does.
Right. So and I think this goes with part of like the like conservatism of it all, is they could have had, between Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause, and the Santa Claus 3, have Carol be an older Mrs. Claus who matches Santa, but instead they opt for a, like, younger, sexier Mrs. Claus so that they can knock her up.
Yeah, and so it's like, I think it's very clear that they want her to be able to have a kid, which is part of why they don't make her older. But I think it's also, like, very much based in that, like, we don't really have a definitive version of Mrs. Claus, so it is opportune for them to be kind of able to kind of do whatever they want with her, so they can set up this thing of, like, her having a baby in the third movie, because she is hella pregnant at the beginning of the third movie. We don't have a Mrs. Claus at the beginning of the Santa Claus of it all. She doesn't exist. But there are sort of a few places that get cited as, like, early Mrs. Claus appearances, and she does start to appear in the 19th century. The first mention of Mrs. Claus appears in the 1849 short story A Christmas Legend by missionary James Reese. In the story, an old man and woman, both carrying a bundle on the back, are given shelter in a home on Christmas Eve as weary travelers. The next morning, the children of the house find an abundance of gifts for them, and the couple is revealed to be not old Santa Claus and his wife, but the host's long-lost elder daughter and her husband in disguise. So there's, like, this trick where they're like, it was Santa who stayed with us, but it's not. It's just, like, their family. But there is this implication that, like, there's, like, a cultural memory of Santa Claus having a wife. And so we now have the maybe we're gonna have a wife
Did you ever watch the stop motion Year Without a Santa Claus?
Yes.
I like that one. I feel like that feels similar to this, where you have young Santa and Mrs. Claus. Young Mrs. Claus in that movie is so freaking beautiful. And it's also like similar dynamic where I think she's like the kind of spinster teacher, but is really attractive and then becomes more loving towards Santa Claus. And then they get together and then they actually do like grow old together.
Yes.
But I think that there is like, from that, a like cultural memory of a like younger, prettier Mrs. Claus, because she's only the old Mrs. Claus for the very end of that movie.
Right, exactly. You know what's funny? When I think about the Year Without a Santa Claus, basically the only thing I think about is Heat Miser and Snow Miser.
I love them.
I love those little freaks so much. All the stop motion ones do kind of like, the claymation ones all do kind of blend together in my mind.
I love them so much. I'm so mad because I wanted to watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer last night. It was on Hulu like a week ago, and now it's only for rent or to buy.
Oh, that's so annoying.
I know, bitches.
Wait, let's see what it's on now.
I looked it up last night. I could only do rent or buy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
There's nowhere. Bummer.
And it's like, I literally saw it on Hulu like a week ago. So it's like, wow, you guys really ripped it off the platforms to try to get a little bit of money right before Christmas.
Yeah, right before Christmas. So we first get Mrs. Claus mentioned by name in Yale Literary Magazine, where a student writes of the appearance of Santa Claus at a Christmas party. Student's name is only given as AB, and they say,
"In-bounded that jolly, fat, and funny old elf Santa Claus. His array was indescribably fantastic. He seemed to have done his best, and we should think had Mrs. Claus to help him."
Yeah, and so, like, for a long time, she's only ever really mentioned as, like, his wife, who was also there. In a novel by Robert St. Clair, The Metropolites from 1864, she appears in a woman's dream, and we get our kind of first description of Mrs. Claus. Aubrey, if you would like to read this one as well. This is our first description of Mrs. Claus that we really get.
Hessian high boots, a dozen of short red petticoats, an old large straw bonnet, and bringing the woman a wide selection of finery to wear.
And so, like, kind of similarly to what we see in Santa Claus Part 2 and Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause, and Santa Claus 3, I don't remember if that one has a title at the end of it.
Nah.
Wait, it's not Santa Claus 2, The Escape Clause. It's Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. This is Santa Claus 2 about Mrs. Claus. It's Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. Oh, guys, I'm so sorry. Someone has been screaming us about this all episode, and I realized it right now. It's Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, because that's what Jack Frost uses to trick Scott into not being Santa anymore.
Well, if you emailed us at informedattraction@gmail.com to correct us of this, you can do a follow-up email where you say, "Sorry guys, I now listened to the entire podcast and realized that I was wrong. That was a test."
It was a test. We actually knew we were fucking it up the whole time. Anyway, so like in the Santa Claus 2, no subtitle. And then in Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, it's kind of an outfit. And that's like, these early descriptions of her, we sort of just get descriptions of outfits. There's another one, this is a much longer description, so I'm not going to read all of it, but I'll include it in the listening notes, from a Good Housekeeping magazine article in 1887. They describe what she's wearing, and so there's this long description of her hood and her robe and the like her hair, but there's no, again, the description of like her age or her body. It's all about what she is wearing. And so we mostly just get descriptions of what she is wearing. What I will say is, in a poem, there's a woman who wrote a poem, Catherine Lee Bates, that's called Goody Santa Claus on a Sleigh Ride, and Goody means good wife, so Mrs. And there was a drawing that went along with that, and that's the first time we see her depicted visually. So the first time we see her depicted visually is like this, Aubrey. So this is from a book called Lily's Travels. This is from 1878. This is maybe Mrs. Claus. This is not confirmed to be Mrs. Claus in the way the next image is. But so this one I just sent is the first time we see a drawing of Mrs. Claus. Also, I love how sturdy the Santa is.
That's very sturdy Santa, and Mrs. Claus looks like Martha Washington.
Yes. And then the next depiction of her we get this is from 1889. This is explicitly Mrs. Claus. So that first one is like, people think it's Mrs. Claus. This is explicitly Mrs. Claus.
Again, Martha Washington adjacent.
Yeah. So then throughout the 20th century, we sort of get, like, now she's just sort of like in the lore, but like it's still very vague. You know what I mean? So it's still very, very vague. And then of course we get the film portrayals of her in The Year Without a Santa Claus, which was the 1974 stop action animated special. And then she also is in a musical that was made for television in 1996 where Angela Lansbury plays Mrs. Claus. Aubrey, I'm sending you the Wikipedia article for the musical Mrs. Santa Claus, which I now really want to watch because I love Angela Lansbury.
That sounds amazing. Oh my god, she looks so happy.
Yeah. Like, and it's the robe. Like the way that they describe Mrs. Claus for so long is this robe, and then kind of what she looks like feels like not germane. But like, you know who she is because it's like the big, beautiful, like feminized version of the Santa Claus robe.
That's interesting because I'm thinking of like, you know, last night I watched Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, right? And they have a Mrs. Claus in that, and that one is so different because she's just in like a red tracksuit.
Yes.
But I guess that does make sense because the Santa in that movie is also wearing a red tracksuit, so that goes into that theme of like Mrs. Claus always sort of matches Santa's like dress.
Yes. So this gets into when woke was in 2018, people were like, hey, we want Mrs. Claus alone, actually. And so people start like kind of demanding to see Mrs. Claus on her own from Santa. They're like, we're sick of this shit. She can like hang out by herself, dog. And then as Aubrey mentioned earlier, Cheryl Lee Ralph became the first Black woman to play Mrs. Claus at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And that was in 2023. There was also, I was trying to track down, there was this Boost Mobile Mrs. Claus ad that was apparently controversial.
It's just because Mrs. Claus was on the naughty list.
Oh, I did just find it. For some reason, earlier when I was looking it up, a bunch of different stuff was coming, but I did just find, I think this is it.
I didn't watch it, so send it to me if you find the clip.
I will. I think this is it. I can't totally tell because there's so many things that come up when you search this, but I think that it says infidelity at the North Pole, which I think is T. So let's see. Oh, I remember this ad vividly now. She's fucking a snowman, everybody. The way I remember that vividly now that I've watched it.
I actually don't remember this commercial at all. So essentially, it's Mrs. Claus in bed with a snowman, and she's like, well, you can't blame me. Santa's gone all the time. And then she turns a picture of Santa that is on the bedside table down, and then Santa is watching from the window like a cock.
Yeah, and he goes, ho, ho, ho. I'm trying so hard to make a joke about snowballs right now.
Well, I'm sure that the snowman has big, meaty snowballs.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, that's crazy that Boost Mobile did that. And she's like, you think this is wrong? What's wrong is your bullshit fucking wireless service. And it's like, oh my god.
Yeah, well, anyway. That certainly wouldn't be made today.
Nope, that's Crazy Town. Wow, 2009, what a time. In 2009, we were like, Mrs. Claus is a whore. And in 2018, everyone was like, wait, I want to see Mrs. Claus without Santa!
Well, and then I think in that fucking Violet Nights movie, or whichever the gritty Santa one is with David Harbour, isn't there going to be a sequel where Charlize Theron is Mrs. Claus?
Aubrey, this is way more in your wheelhouse of movies you track than mine.
I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, and Charlize will do great, but I just hate it. I hate it on principle.
I'm not seeing anything. Oh, this might just be like a fan theory.
Is it? I swear I remember reading that it was like actually going to happen.
I just am seeing things that like David Harbour like reference that he thinks if there was a sequel, it should be Charlize Theron. Oh. But not that she is actually committed to doing it.
Oh, well now when I looked at the Wikipedia, it has Kristen Bell as Mrs. Claus.
Oh.
All right, well, That's going to be terrible, guys. I hope we're all on the same page with that.
I've never seen the original one. I just know that David Harbour is the reason that Lily Allen wrote that album, which is really difficult.
Yeah, Violent Nights is just not that good. It's like a fine action movie that leans really heavily into you being like, isn't it funny that it's Santa doing the action?
Yeah.
And it's like, it could be, because you could replace Santa in that movie with like any like grizzled ex-Marine and it would be the same movie, because it's like Santa's just like an alcoholic fucking burnout who's like burnt out on life and the Christmas spirit and then saves these rich kids from getting killed.
And that's what we need more representation of, is saving rich kids from getting killed.
Yeah.
So I think that, like, returning back to the Santa Claus 2, no subtitle, the whole thing in this movie is we're really enforcing like a very heteronormative, like, you need a wife to stay Santa, and that there's like a gender role thing at play here of like there needs to be like a woman staying home. She is teaching the children in the third movie because she is a teacher, and there's this like he has to be married to a woman in order to keep his role. There must be a Mrs. Claus.
Could you imagine? Obviously that it wouldn't happen in this timeline because of our society, but I feel like if there was a world where, I don't know, fucking Bernie Sanders was president, we would have a Mr. Claus and Santa somewhere in the media.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's still, that seems like something that like, you know, like Billy Eichner might get up to.
I think at some point in the next 10 to 15 years, yes.
Give me a Mr. Claus movie with Bowen Yang starring as Santa's gay husband, you know?
LostCulturistas@gmail.com. Hello, it's Aubrey again. Let me pitch it, guys. Let me pitch it.
Yeah, let us cook. So we have Carol's transformation as well. Like, what Carol's transformation, what I said that like it's really in vibe, because she's going from this like stern principal who's getting Charlie in trouble to this like warm, glowing, motherly Mrs. Claus. And especially, you know, in the second movie we see her and she is pregnant and she is teaching the youths of tomorrow. And so there's this like feminine transformation as like a mode of beautification and like finding real bliss. I don't know that I think it's that. I mean, the compulsory heteronormativity is obviously a part of this, but like I do think there is an element of like she's gonna go be a barefoot wife in the woods now.
Well, yeah, because the whole thing with her character in this movie is she's like the no-nonsense principal of Charlie's school, and then falls in love, and then, wow, she's so happy now. All she ever wanted actually was just a man and a baby.
Yes. Like that is like a part of it. And then she like, gives up her whole life to like move to the North Pole. She starts lying to her family, saying that she's married to this toy maker from Canada. Like, you know, like she really gives up a lot in order to like do this.
Yeah.
And I think that they just make her like more traditionally like soft and like ethereally attractive. Like the way they style her changes towards the end of this movie and into the next movie, and like there's just this like element of like how she becomes more traditionally feminine as she becomes Mrs. Claus. She goes from like girl boss principal to like woman in flowing dress.
Yeah.
And so this just like the film like frames her happiness through a physical softening, glowing makeup, warm lighting, and like that really especially comes into play in the third film. And I think that like the role of Mrs. Claus throughout history is as the emotional caretaker of Santa. In a lot of the media I mentioned, it's interesting in that one where they're not quite sure if it's Mrs. Claus. She's like taking the ledger of like people who come to visit the North Pole, I believe. And so we at times see Mrs. Claus being assigned tasks in history, but it's not like a core part. Her core job is being Santa Claus's wife.
Yeah, I mean, at most, she's like an administrative assistant.
Yeah, and so a thing that I like about the Santa Claus 3, the Escape Clause, is they do give Carol, like, a job related to the thing she was doing in the human world. Like, she is still teaching, like, the young elves. Like, they don't make her just be, like, a stay-at-home mom. She does have, like, a function in the North Pole, which I do really appreciate that they didn't just make her, like, be sitting at home all day.
Before this, none of those elves knew how to read.
Probably.
Oh my god.
They only know make toy and do ElfCon.
Oh my god.
That's why they didn't tell Scott about the Mrs. Claus rule for 8 years, because none of them could read it. Curtis and Bernard are the only elves who can read, is the problem.
Well, that's why Curtis is such a fucking failure, but he's the one who gets to have the rule book.
Because he can read. But yeah, so she sort of functions often as like humanizing Santa's power, which I think is specifically interesting in the context of these movies, since Scott is the first human Santa Claus. And it's just this typical, she needed a good man to change her narrative. And I think this feels like something Aubrey wrote.
Yeah.
Aubrey, you want to read this? It's your note.
I think the themes of 1 are actually pretty progressive about men's body image, but then 2 is incredibly regressive about women. And I stand by that. I think that I really do like the Santa Claus as a depiction of, like, male bonding and, like, father-son closeness and relationships. And then I feel like we get to Santa Claus 2, and it's just like, and we need a woman. Let's take this cold, hot bitch and turn her into a real wife. And it just is gross to me. I just think Carol doesn't get to retain... Carol doesn't really have a personality, so... Like, her whole personality is just, I'm a bitch principal at the beginning, and then I meet this guy, and he finds out that I love Christmas and I'm attractive. And now we're in love.
And now we're in love. And
because also the timeline is like 30 days.
Yes. Oh yeah, he has like no time at all before he's supposed to have found a wife.
Well, he doesn't even really get into her until like a week and a half to 2 weeks in.
Yeah. So she has to like be on board. I mean, it's the same thing in like The Holiday when Jude Law is like, I'm in love with you after they've known each other for less than 2 weeks, and she's like, yeah, that's fine. We'll figure it out. I'm in love with you too. I've met your children.
It's different when it's Jude Law.
Oh. I mean, I agree. I agree that it's different when it's Jude Law.
Pretty privilege gets you far.
It's true. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is that, like, I know that not everyone agrees with me, but I think the fact that they give the animatronic Santa sort of the John Cena build and face, they give, or even you could even say, because it's Tim Allen, the Buzz Lightyear build. It's like, there's like this, and I mentioned it in the last episode, they're intentionally making him look like a G.I. Joe, and then he's the militarized Santa. And so I think there's this, like, hyper masculine beauty aesthetic being employed here to parody action figures and toy marketing. Like, I think they're doing militarized Santa by giving him the G.I. Joe build.
I believe that, and I hear you. I think my point of contention is I don't know if we're then supposed to find him fuckable.
Well, I don't think... that's the whole thing with, like, any Hear Me Out. You're not supposed to find any Hear Me Out fuckable. I don't think anyone in their right mind is supposed to find Hopper from A Bug's Life fuckable, but I've heard from multiple people that they feel that way, Aubrey.
Hey!
I don't think we're supposed to find the hot fish from Finding Nemo fuckable, but we do.
Well, I disagree with that. I think we are supposed to find him fuckable.
You think we're supposed to find the hot fish fuckable?
Yes.
I don't know about that.
And the thing is, everyone who's listening, you know exactly which one we're talking about.
Yes! Yes. Anyway, I think that's what the movie's getting at. And even if you don't find, like, the G.I. Joe hot, I do think that what the movie is referencing is a G.I. Joe. Like, that is why they make him look like Tim Allen, but also not like Tim Allen. It's because they're referencing a G.I. Joe there.
It's why I'm so confused about what this movie's actual take is on, like, the militarization of Santa, because it seems like we're supposed to think it's bad when evil fascist Santa turns all of the toy soldiers against the elves, but then Tim Allen responds to that with essentially his own warfare. So... Yes,
because he was provoked. War is okay if you're provoked.
So you're saying that this movie is making a statement about 9/11.
Here's the thing, I was about to go, no! And then I remember that Tim Allen is involved, and so I don't know that I can say no.
Well, because I can just see the people who are making this movie being like, well, we need a movie for families for Christmas time. Let's make it a love story. And it's like, Sure. I just think the problem I have with this movie is it just feels so unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it moves... It gives us a Mrs. Claus. That's, like, the point of this movie, is it gives us a Mrs. Claus.
It does almost feel like it is a bit of a filler movie to then have the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, where they just get weird with it.
So we've talked about the Santa Claus 2 for an hour. We do want to talk a little bit about both the Santa Claus 3 and also the TV series.
The Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, please use its legal
the Santa
name.
Claus 3, The Escape Clause. So we're going to talk briefly about Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, and also briefly about the TV series, The Santa Clauses. And sort of like what I want to talk about with these is I think that like they're interesting to compare to each other because one of them is like distinctly, they're actually both still kind of anti-capitalist, but coming at it from like one from like a, I don't know, the TV show just so clearly has Tim Allen's worldview in it in a way that the third movie doesn't, even though there's, I think, actually getting at the same point, which is that it should be about the love of Christmas and not about the money. So, like, that is the ethos and, like, the core theme of both the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, and the Santa Claus's TV series. But the way that they go about it is just distinctly different, and I think it's because of the radicalization of Tim Allen, specifically between these two pieces of media. So, in brief, I'm going to just briefly go through the plot summary of the Santa Claus 3. So, 8 years after the events of Santa Claus 2, Scott Calvin has settled comfortably into his role as Santa Claus. He and Carol, now Mrs. Claus, are happily married, and the North Pole is running smoothly. But as Christmas approaches, one major problem threatens the holiday season. Carol is pregnant and due any day now, and she's starting to feel isolated and overwhelmed living so far away from home and from her family. Wanting to support her, Scott decides to bring her parents, Sylvia and Bud Newman, to the North Pole, but they cannot know he's Santa Claus. Sylvia and Bud Newman, by the way, are played by Anne Margaret and Alan Arkin. And those are some crazy polls for this movie. Tim Allen, we have to remember, had the sauce. So the fact that he got those two Anne Martin short to be in this movie is wacko smacko to me. But, like, it is, the big ballers are in this movie for real.
I think Tim Allen, before he was, like, really fucking crazy, was a chill guy to hang out with.
Yeah.
And I think
because he got all the cocaine.
Yeah.
And, like, also, like, this was a huge franchise, so it's not totally shocking that, like, 3 big actors would want to be involved in it.
I want to know what their payout was.
I don't know. That's the thing that I just never trust the internet to tell me that information.
No.
So to pull this off, the elves stage an elaborate cover stories, transforming the North Pole to look like Canada, while asking everyone to act like ordinary citizens instead of magical beings. So that's sort of plot. I would actually say that's the B plot of the movie. So we get introduced to the B plot of the movie first. And then what the A plot of the movie is, the escape clause of it all, the Council of Legendary Figures meets to address an entirely different issue. Jack Frost is being a bad little boy.
Oh, he's naughty.
He's naughty. He's hungry for more recognition, and he wants a holiday of his own. So he is causing chaos to try to steal attention from Santa, and so the council punishes him by assigning him community service under Santa's supervision. So now he's at the North Pole.
Is this the part where I say I think Martin Short is, like, so sexy?
This is the part where you say that.
Okay, great.
I don't know that I agree, but I love Martin Short.
I love him so much.
In this movie, I think specifically in this movie, he skeezes me out a lot. So it's hard for me because I'm just picturing him as Jack Frost right now, and I'm like, Wah!
I was into him in this movie, to be honest.
No. Jack Frost quickly realizes that Scott is stressed and distracted, and so it's a perfect time to get in there and steal this shit out from straight underneath of him. So as Frost snoops through the rule book, he discovers the escape clause. A magical loophole allowing the current Santa to be like, I'm out. I don't want to be Santa anymore.
You don't have to get pushed off the roof and disintegrated, actually.
Well, kind of. He has to take the snow globe, wish he's never put on the suit, and then he'll go back to the moment in 1994 when the other guy got pushed off the roof. So what Jack Frost decides to do is going to trick Scott into giving up his role so that Jack Frost can take over Christmas.
I remember when I was a kid and I watched this movie for the first time. Any movie where it was like, we're the characters in the background in the sequel, watching the characters from the first movie do something in front of us, my mind was fucking blown.
You're like, how'd they fucking do that, bro?
I was like, oh my god, they've been there the whole time.
It's a cinema. Yeah, it's like I remember when I was a kid, I was so confused by how much acting Dylan and Cole Sprouse were doing, because I thought that every TV setting was live. And I was like, wow, they've done this same episode like 7 times. That's crazy for them.
It's hilarious.
So through manipulation, he plants doubts, he stirs conflict with Carol's parents, he makes the factory malfunction. Frost creates enough chaos that Scott's like, I'm out. So Frost tricks Scott into holding the snow globe and saying, I don't want to be a Santa anymore. And instantly, they're both transported back to the night that he became Santa. Because I think that Jack's Frost hands are also on the globe.
Okay.
And they, tussle. Frost wins, gets the suit, and he becomes the new Santa instead.
Does Scott realize that if he's like, I don't want to be Santa anymore, he essentially gets rid of his wife and his unborn child?
No.
Is he just fucking dumb?
He doesn't know about the escape clause. Because what we've learned is Scott Calvin has never read the book before. He has never read the rule book.
Oh my god.
Which feels important.
Oh my god.
That's like the recurring theme of all of this, is that Scott does not read the fine print.
Because he's a man.
Then we enter the Scott Calvin multiverse of madness, in which he is thrust into an alternate timeline where he never became Santa. Carol never moved to the North Pole and instead is an even stricter, bitchier school principal. And the North Pole is now a tacky, commercialized theme park called Frostmas. And Jack Frost runs Christmas as a ruthless corporate business. Families are miserable. The elves are basically doing slave labor. And the joy of Christmas has been replaced with corporate greed.
He is Jeff Bezos.
So, what they need... Actually, he's not Jeff Bezos. Cal Penn's character in the Santa Claus is pretty much directly Jeff Bezos.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I would say that Jack Frost in this movie is like a shitty, like, Walt Disney. Like, I mean, Walt Disney is shitty, but I mean, like, in a even less cool way.
Yeah.
So Scott's like, I gotta fix everything. And so he's like, okay, well, it was my snow globe that caused the problem. So obviously, Jack Frost has his own snow globe. So he gets Curtis to remember him. He's like, Curtis, you will remember me. And Curtis is like, okay, weird, strange, regular man. Scott manages to steal the globe and confront Frost. He ends up doing the same types of trickery and tomfoolery. And then they go back in time again. And then it undoes Santa's reign and restores, it undoes Frost's Santa reign and restores Scott to his rightful place. And my God, was the timing impeccable, because right as they get back to timeline 1, Carol's about to have a baby. She is popping off. She gives birth to their son, Buddy Claus, and the Newmans finally learn the truth. Buddy Claus.
Horrible name. Buddy Claus is...
Name your child Buddy. Legal name, Buddy. The Newmans finally learn the truth, but are delighted rather than upset. They're like, oh my God, we love that our son-in-law is Santa Claus. Christmas is saved.
Who wouldn't?
I know.
Again, it's so unclear to me why everything has to be a secret.
I think it's, my only suspicion is because they don't want people knowing where the North Pole is, so no one comes and tries to do exactly like what Jack Frost does in this movie.
But then they just always end up revealing it anyway.
Yes, because they're bad at it.
Great. Do you think you would be able to keep it a secret if your family member was Santa Claus?
I think if it was a life or death situation, yeah.
See, nothing in this movie is life or death. I'd be yapping. I'd be telling everybody.
Anyways, Christmas is saved, and we got a new Claus in the world. We got a second generation Claus, which is, I think, what we've talked about is that this has never happened before, because we've never had a human Santa Claus before. Santa has never been able to reproduce until this moment.
Maybe he was just unfuckable. Maybe he had an age-appropriate life.
Oh.
Maybe the other Santas just actually dated women their own age.
I mean, maybe.
I think that's maybe more likely.
So, there were two things I wanted to talk about in this movie. We'll start with since we've already sort of talked about Carol and Mrs. Claus. Like, her story in this is sort of, like, in some ways, like, mimics both what Charlie is going through in the second movie, and then also, like, what we see a lot in the real world with, like, women who are pregnant with their, like, working, high-powered husbands. And so she's pregnant, she's isolated, Scott's working all the time, and there's this pressure for her to be the perfect mother to this, like, first ever spawn of Santa, basically. And there's, like, this, like, expectations of, like, her being this perfect Mrs. Claus, and she's like, I just want my fucking mommy, and I want to have someone take care of me while I'm fucking pregnant. And so that's, like, sort of, like, where she's at in this movie. Like, really the story of this movie is she's pregnant and Scott's not paying attention to her.
Go, girl, give us nothing.
Yeah. I mean, but it's not her fault.
I know, that's what
they wrote her that way.
It's the writing. It's like, what are any of Carol's traits? Who's to say?
She was a bitch and now she's not.
Wow.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to talk about is Martin Short is such a specific casting choice as Jack Frost, and the way that they, like, design him in this movie is also very specific. So he sort of plays as an aesthetic foil to the Santa Claus that we see in this movie.
I love his makeup in this movie.
Oh, he looks cool, but he just freaks me out. I think I was scared of him as a kid.
I don't know. I think he's sexy. I think I just am attracted to just weird little guys.
I just don't like how he looks in this movie. I get, like, he looks very cool, but it's just, like, I think it's the eyebrows.
I love it, the eyebrows with the little icicles in them.
Yeah, it freaks me out.
I think all of one thing I will always give credit to this movie for is that I think that when it comes to imagining these iconic holiday characters,
oh yeah,
I think this series does an incredible job. Like Cupid, Mother Nature, the Tooth, like they all have such a great defined look. It's immediately clear as soon as you see them, before they even open their mouths, what they represent and what their kind of moral alignment is. And I think that's incredible design.
Well, and I think here, and I think part of what makes him so clearly, like, distinctly, like, you're gonna be fucking evil, is that it's very, like, sleek and cold and sparkly, whereas, like, the way that they code Santa is so, like, soft and round and warm and, you know, just, like full, and then he's so, like, meow.
Yeah, he's
like,
tiny.
Like Randall in fucking Monsters, Inc.
Well, and he's also wearing a business suit.
Yes. It's the Kiki versus Booba thing. It's it's literally, I mean, I think about, like, Monsters, Inc. You have, like, Sully versus Randall, and you have this, like, big, kind of, like, dopey, hot guy who's good at doing the scaring, and then you have this, like, little wormy little lizard guy who's also good at the scaring, but not as good as the big himbo guy. And that's, like, what we have in this movie. We have this, like, small, manipulative, sharp, sparkly man that contrasts with this, like, I'm just Tim Allen, I don't read.
What does it say about me that I'm always into the little freaky little lizard guy? You like the Sully type. You like the, like, yeah. I am a large man and I'm here.
I spent my entire well, this is an interesting thing. I don't know what it is, because I think I spent my entire life being, like, both a tall woman who was, like, very, like, I was, you know, got coded as, like, bossy and, like, large and in charge. So I think I'm attracted to, like, the idea of someone larger and more dominant than me, if that makes sense.
I think for me, because I'm short and I'm stout, but I also am always the, like, you know, type A, leader, loud, brash, whatever, and I just have always loved just weird little guys. I like Randall from Monsters, Inc. I think he's sexy. I said it. I think Steve Buscemi is sexy. I don't even think that's a hear me out. I think that's just facts.
No. Steve Buscemi's great. He was a firefighter on 9/11.
You have to say that every time somebody mentions Steve Buscemi.
You do, because I think it's important.
Yes. We've now mentioned 9/11 twice in this episode.
I know, I was going to say 9/11 counter too.
Yeah. The other day, I was talking to one of the guys who was in a musical I was in with, and he mentioned, oh yeah, I lived in New York from 1994 to 2004, and I turned to my friend Loie, and I was like, he was there for 9/11. And then... And then that made Loie start laughing, and then I started laughing, and the guy, Greg, was like, what's so funny? And I just said, you were there for 9/11! And then he started, he told this absolutely harrowing experiences he had on 9/11. Well, I couldn't stop laughing the entire time as he described to me, like, burning bodies. Mm-hmm. And then a few days later, he said, hey, you know, if you need help feeling jolly out there, just remember 9/11.
And he can say that because he went through it.
Yeah, he was there. He was there.
But yeah, and so I think that, like, the specific casting of Martin Short and the specific way they make him look in contrast to Scott is just, like he is beautiful, I think, is the thing I would say. And it's, like, it's too deliberate, it's villainous, whereas Santa's beauty is this, like, natural, cozy, heroic thing going on. And I think, like, especially if we think about this as the time in which, like, because this movie came out what year? And by this movie, I do mean Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause. 2006. So, like, we're sort of, like, firmly in the, like, the beginnings of where the metrosexuality thing was still kind of sus. Mm-hmm. And I think we were very still, like, suspicious of men who performed their beauty then. You see all the time that, like, lots of villains are coded as gay. Like American culture is very skeptical of feminine men and of men who, like, perform their beauty.
You're not gonna even really understand this, but he does kind of look like Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3.
I know what Astarion looks like.
Okay, I just found a guy on TikTok doing a thirst trap of Jack Frost from this movie. He looks like Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3.
Can you just show your camera to my... Oh, he does look like Astarion from Baldur's Gate 3.
I don't know, guys.
Baldur's Gate 3? The Santa Claus 3, the escape clause? It's a fucking conspiracy, bro.
How is there not some Baldur's Gate... You know what? I'm not even going to get... I was going to do like a little fandom-y thing, and it would just be too deep in the sauce, but...
Okay. You can say it. Say it.
Well, no, I was going to say somebody should be making Baldur's Gate 3 fan art where Gale is Santa Claus and Astarion is Jack Frost. And I would be really surprised if somebody hasn't done that yet.
Yeah.
They should.
They should. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this plot summary of the Santa Clauses very quickly. I only watched the first season of this show. I will get into a little bit of what happens in season 2 from what I read on the internet, but I didn't like the first season of the show, and I didn't want to watch the second season. I'll just be so honest.
I didn't want to watch this, so I didn't. So I'm just here to do funny voices.
The main thing that I wanted to talk about with the Santa Clauses is the comparison between it and the Santa Claus 3, and also that you can just really see Tim Allen's like change. I think this is the first one that Tim Allen has like creative control over, and you can tell.
Because it's bad.
So, yeah. After nearly 3 decades of being Santa Claus, Scott Calvin's like, I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to do this anymore. I'm getting close to my 65th birthday. His magic starts to fade, and he starts going through like some of that physical desantification that we see in the second episode.
Is he not immortal?
No, he's a human Santa Claus. This is what I mean. I've been saying this the whole time. He's a human Santa Claus. He is a human man.
Interesting.
That's my yarn, my conspiracy theory board. He's a human being.
Oh, I just assumed that he became like an immortal being.
Nope, he's a human man.
Oh, that's weird.
I think you might be right that that's what it was in the movies, but then they wanted to do this TV show, and Tim Allen has clearly actually aged, and so they had to retcon some shit.
Weird.
So, meanwhile, the world has changed a lot since he first became Santa, and Christmas itself faces new pressures. More on that later. So, he wants to have a normal life, and he's like, I gotta find a successor, and so he's like trying to find a successor to be the new Santa Claus. Enter Simon Choxie, played by Cal Penn.
I love Cal Penn.
Love him so much. A charismatic corporate executive who becomes the leading candidate to take over the role.
You know, my first celebrity crush was Cal Penn.
In House?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine was House in House.
Mine was Cal Penn in House and also House. I've talked about before the fan fictions.
Yes, the fan fictions. So, as a potential new Santa, Simon promises a more modern, efficient, business-style North Pole. One that can adapt to the world demands. So Scott's like, that sounds good, which is confusing to me because he's mad about that with Jack Frost, but he's with Simon, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah, dude, that sounds great. So...
The early onset dementia's kicking in. How many kids does he have at this point?
Oh, boy. I only really remember Buddy.
Okay. And he's what, like 16?
Yeah. So anyway, it's like, he's like, I'm good. And then elves start disappearing, the Christmas deliveries start faltering, and the warmth around Christmas starts to fade. And Scott's like,
we didn't even talk about what happens with Charlie in the escape clause. Is he even in it?
Oh boy, I don't remember.
And then is Charlie in the Santa Claus's show?
He's a minor character in the Santa Claus 3. So, like, no, he's, like, not important.
Okay.
And then he does show up in the show, but I remember it so distinctly. I think he, like, goes to him when he's, like, looking for replacements for, because there's, like, a whole sequence where he's, like, going and looking for different people to replace him. And that's when he, like, finds Bernard. Like, that's part of it. And so, like...
How do they handle Bernard in the Santa Clauses?
I'm getting there. That I am getting to.
Okay.
I have notes about that. So, basically, because it's another cameo one, so I don't have, like, huge notes on it. So, basically, he's, like... Simon's like corporate Jeff Bezos model of doing Christmas is ruining Christmas. I gotta go intervene. So Scott and his family go, they try to get the Santa coat back, and Simon realizes he made a mistake, so they don't even actually have to fight him on it. And he's like, you should be Santa again. And so Scott becomes Santa again. The elves return, deliveries resume, and the magic is restored. And Scott, Carol, and their children return to full status in the North Pole just in time for Christmas. So where Bernard shows up in season 1 is he reappears in episode 5, chapter 5, Across the Yuleverse. He returns and reconnects with Scott. So Bernard left the North Pole on something called Cribble Crabble, which is like an elf equivalent of extended leave or sabbatical, or like kind of like Rumspringa from the Amish, I would say. He went to Earth and he met someone, a human, and he ends up giving up his elfdom to be like a real guy and marry. And that's why he's aged. It's because he's given up being an elf.
And how old was she? Who do
you think Bernard is married to?
Meryl Streep.
He is married to Vanessa Redgrave, and not a character played by Vanessa Redgrave. Bernard is married to, canonically in the world of the Santa Clauses, he is married to Vanessa Redgrave, the actress.
That is so stupid.
He, like, has a picture of her in his wallet that he shows, like, it's like a very quick, like, this is my wife.
That's so ridiculous. How did they get her?
Because she's not actually in the show. It's just a picture of her.
That's so dumb.
It's just a joke that Bernard is married to Vanessa Redgrave now.
Wow. Okay, you know what? You know what? The writers, everybody gets one. That was hilarious. That tickled me. Yeah,
it's just funny to have him be married to, like, a celebrity in general, but also for it to be, like, just, like Meryl Streep was a good guess. Like, for him to be married to, like, this, like, older woman celebrity is very funny. So
he had the appearance of a child when he met her, because he was an elf, and had to give up his elfdom to be with her. But then he started aging, but when they met, he presumably still looked like a child.
Yes, well, a Republican made this, so, they're fine with that.
Okay, well, we already talked about that.
Yeah. So that's how Bernard shows up. And there was lots of reactions to his adult appearance. People were like, oh, he doesn't look like Bernard anymore. Like we talked about last time, he has aged like a regular man. It looks like a regular guy. He's got that Brendan Fraser build. And there's like this cultural discomfort whenever like freeze-framed childhood beauty matures. And they're like, you don't look like that hot 21-year-old anymore.
It's like I just said about Spencer Breslin.
What?
It's like how I just was talking about Spencer Breslin looking like he's just an adult version of himself as a child.
Right, but I actually don't think that David Krumholtz looks like an adult version of himself as a child.
No, but that's what I'm saying is that, like, the perception,
right?
It could be, as some people, there is a transformation, like with David Krumholtz going from younger to older, and then some just look like themselves but big, and I think that I don't know, I think both are a tough spot to be in, unless you are the rarest breed of, like, people, like, someone who gets essentially sexualized as a child and then becomes a conventionally attractive adult, which is, like, I don't know, like the Olsen twins, right?
Yeah. So, a couple things on the family dynamics, because I just forgot. So, yeah, here's what it is. So, he's named Buddy in the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, because he's named after his maternal grandfather. But Buddy Calvin Claus is Calvin Claus. So they have a son, and then they have a daughter, Sandra Calvin Claus.
Okay. When did Elf come out? Did they really name him Buddy in the same time that we have the movie Elf?
I don't know when Elf came out. Oh, it came out after Elf.
That's weird. That's weird then.
Yeah.
Because Elf was very popular.
Yeah. Yeah. And Charlie shows up. Okay, I was right. Charlie shows up in when he's like trying to find so they call it in the Santa Clauses, it's called the Secessus Clause, because it all has to have a name. So Scott's allowed to retire as Santa once he chooses a worthy successor. That's the Secessus Clause. And so he initially considers both of his sons for the role, but Charlie is like, nah, mate, I have a family and like don't want to go move to the North Pole. And Cal has only ever lived in the North Pole and is like, no, I want to see the world. Like, I don't want to just be at the North Pole my entire life. I want to like go be an adult somewhere and like not just be at the North Pole forever.
Oh, poor little rich boy.
So that's why the sons went to it. Peyton Manning is also a potential candidate for Santa Claus at some point.
I don't give a shit. I don't give a fuck about football.
Okay, they meet a Christmas witch at one point who they consider like they meet lots of replacement Santa ideals, including, yeah. And Bernard is the one who reveals to Scott that all of the predecessors were ethereal magical beings, and then Scott is the first human Santa Claus. So it's at episode 5 where we get the reveal that all of the other Santa Clauses have not been people.
That like freaks me out. I hate the lore of this. So then what? Then Scott's trying to pawn it off. Why doesn't Scott go to the ethereal beings?
He does. They go visit Santa 17. And they visit the Christmas witch. They visit some ethereal beings too.
All right.
And you're never gonna believe it, Aubrey. But this season ends with Cal revealing the secret of his family to his girlfriend. Because at the end of every single one of these, there needs to be the secret being revealed to someone. So this ends with Cal delivering a bouquet to his girlfriend, Riley.
How did he get a girlfriend when they live at the North Pole? Who are her parents?
I forgot about the brief part of this movie when they go, or of this TV show, where they do briefly move to Chicago. Because like I said, they give it up to Simon.
Okay.
They're like, Simon is Santa now. We're good. We found the guy. We can move out now. And then things start going wrong. But like, they're already in the real world. Sandra's a horse girl.
Of course she is.
She joins the equestrian club up there at their school in Chicago.
Where are you riding horses in Chicago?
I don't know.
Where are you riding them? There are not. Where are the stables?
Yeah, but yeah. So that's.
Someone's gonna email us and be like, actually, I'm an equestrian from Chicago. I don't fucking care. I don't care.
When I watched this show, I was mostly watching it for the Bernard cameo, so I watched the first 4 episodes in kind of a daze until Bernard showed up, and then I watched that episode in Verity, and then I watched the finale. So the first 4 episodes, I kind of don't remember them real good, because I was also doing spreadsheets while watching them, but when Bernard showed up, I locked in.
You have to. I mean, that's numbers.
Numbers! Yeah, so that's the Santa Claus season 1. In Santa Claus season 2, I didn't watch it, but basically, he convinces Cal that Cal should be Santa. So Cal's like, okay, but then a long-imprisoned former Santa, Magnus Antis, the Mad Santa, is freed and challenges the claim to the mantle. And so... Also, at the same time, apparently his daughter, Sandra, who's the horse girl, is, like, gaining magical abilities. Cal's having a really hard time trying to become Santa. And they have to rally together and protect the North Pole from Magnus's takeover.
Why the fuck does Cal have to have Santa training when Scott had no training? He just became Santa.
I don't know.
Kids these days getting fucking handheld, spoon-fed.
But two important characters.
Nepo babies.
2 important characters to mention from the second season are Chris Moreno / Chris Kringle, who is played by Gabriel Iglesias, who is the head of a failing theme park called Santopolis, who finds Magnus Antis and frees him. And Magnus Antis himself is played by Eric Stone Street from Modern Family.
Sure.
I didn't watch it, so I don't know. But anyways, as you can tell, sort of the plot of this first season of the show, at least, is that, like, this corporate-ass motherfucker, Cal Penn, Simon Chokski, wants to... Oh, and also there's a whole thing where, like, Simon's daughter is, like, really excited to live at the North Pole because she, like, loves Christmas, and that's, like, part of how, like, Simon's Grinch-ass heart grows 3 sizes. But so you have this, like, tension that we have in the third movie, too, between, like, the corporatization of Christmas and what Christmas really means. And so you have that going on here. Like, you have that going on here. It's the exact same tension from the third movie. And you also have that same tension, too, of, like, Scott's kids want to be real people in the same way that in Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, Carol wants to see her human family. So you have this tension also between, like, their humanity and this, like, being in the North Pole thing. So the themes of the Santa Clauses season 1 and the themes of the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause are pretty similar, but the tonal difference, I think, entirely has to do with the fact that Tim Allen is fully radicalized now. So what's weird about this series is that it echoes some of the themes from the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause about, like, not making Christmas a soulless corporate slog, but because Tim Allen is insane now, there's also this weird war on Christmas frame that crops up a few times. At one point, Scott literally says, saying Merry Christmas to all has suddenly become problematic. It signaled that the show was aligning with this, like, conservative view that mainstream culture has canceled Christmas, and there's this, like, overall feeling that the character had transformed into, like, there's, like, a whole thing, too, where, like, Scott is, like, losing his joy for Christmas, and so he's just, like, this, like, conservative crank of a Santa. And so it just, like, it has the vibe of someone yelling at you for saying happy holidays while, like, handing you a beautiful plate of Christmas cookies. Because it still has some of the charm of the movies, but it has this, like, I don't know, this, like, crank undertone that I really don't like.
Well, yeah, because it's, like, it's trying to be like, oh, we love Christmas and owning the libs.
Yeah, exactly. And so sort of my final thoughts on, like, the franchise's ongoing body ideology, taking the Santa Clauses into account. Santa's body is still destiny. There's still no version where Santa is not visually tied to weight, age, or whiteness. Cal Penn, there's almost no characters of color in this entire series, and Cal Penn being evil Jeff Bezos in the Santa show and needs to be defeated by Scott Calvin in order to save Christmas. Like, I think it's weird that, like, one of the first times we get, like, a protagonist of color in any of this is he's the villain who needs to be, like, defeated by Santa in order to save. It's weird to me. I feel weird about it. It's the difference between colorblind casting and color conscious casting. I don't think this was good color conscious casting. It creates a weird vibe with me. There's, like I said, the only, like, real people of color who show up in these is Aisha Tyler and Michael Dorn. There's some elves who are people of color. Gabriel Iglesias in the second season. Tracy Morgan is playing he plays one of the characters in this show. Hold on. I remember Tracy Morgan showing up and being like, Tracy Morgan's here.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of people of color in these shows. And so it just felt, it like left a weird taste in my mouth that, like, Cal Penn's character is, like, the evil. Anyway, it felt weird, especially because of how much of being Santa is being a body. And so, like, the brown guy not being the right fit for being Santa felt really weird to me.
Well, it feels very intentional, to be honest. Yeah. Like, because it's like, oh, you don't want this young brown Santa. You need the old white man to come in and save the day, just as he traditionally has. It's really interesting to think about, like, the whole colorblind versus color conscious casting, because I think for a long time people were like, oh, what is really progressive is just to cast anybody in any role. And I think that there are certainly pieces of media where you basically can do that and it doesn't have much of an impact. But I think we've talked about this before, right? Like, in the new, like, Harry Potter series that's coming out, when you have a predominantly white cast and you have the, like, main bad guy who was historically bullied by his peers be a black man, that, like, you've now created a statement within this piece of media that I don't think that any of the white people making it actually realized they were making.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of how I feel. I just feel weird about it in this TV show. I couldn't get over it the whole time I was watching it. Also, because I am so endeared to Cal Penn too that I was like, this is weird. The whole thing was it was weird to me. The whole thing was quite strange to me.
Well, he's somebody who is, I think, a great actor, and he is, like, a queer man and, like, has come out as a gay man. And I think that, like, I don't know, I don't want to say he's, like, struggled to find roles, but I think that when he made his return to acting, I think there was an expectation that he would, like, go off and, like, lead things in a way that he hasn't.
Yeah. So it's a tricky thing. Also, Tracy Morgan plays the Easter Bunny. He replaces Jay Thomas. So yeah, there's just, that feels like the Santa's body is still destiny is, like, a thing that is so clear throughout all of these, and it felt specifically weird when now, for the very first time, you have a man of color sort of fighting to be Santa Claus. It felt weird. It felt really strange.
Well, I think what they needed to do was either have Cal Penn's character have, like, a total change of heart where he then becomes a good Santa Claus. I think that would be a way to, like, save that.
Yes, I agree.
Or if it's like, okay, like, maybe he shouldn't be Santa Claus, but maybe somebody else should. Like, having it be another person of color could be good. Or, I don't know.
I don't know, like, maybe Gabriel Iglesias' character becomes Santa at the end of season 2. I don't know, but
who's to say? But it's just so interesting, too, because it sounds like the plot of season 1 is, like, finding a new person to be Santa, and then the plot of season 2 is just something different because they got renewed for another season.
Yeah, I don't know enough about what happens in season 2. Apologies. I didn't want to. But yeah, I think this show really, like, leans into, like, goodness as a look, and, like, the whole series, like, warm, soft, round is good, sharp, sleek, angular is bad. We learned that from the Santa Claus 3. And, like, just, like, you learn what good people and what villains look like when you're a kid watching media like this. Like, you learn that that's what a good person looks like, Santa Claus, and a bad person looks like Jack Frost. And I think that takes on a kind of bad lens when you learn that a good person looks like Tim Allen and a bad person looks like Cal Penn.
Right. Well, it's that whole thing of,
and, like, to be fair, like, Cal Penn just looks like a guy. Like, he just looks like a tech bro. Like, he's in, I mean, like, he's in all these, like, little, here, I'll send you a picture of it. Well, like, he's in all these little, like, tech bro outfits in the show. Like, he's not, like, a, you know, but.
And that's the thing, like, creating archetypes like this, like, yeah, he just looks like a San Francisco.
He looks like Cal Penn, yeah.
Like, the thing with archetypes is So when you have these archetypes of iconic holiday characters, for instance, right? Like, I think casting like Aisha Tyler as Mother Nature is really smart and thoughtful casting. And it's really interesting to me that, like, throughout the series, I would say in 1, 2, and even in 3, there is some thought given about how these archetypes are portrayed, doing something subversive with them to try to, like, not just do like a traditional, this is the holiday archetype. And then it's interesting that the show is then like, gotta return to tradition.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that, like, I'm looking at what happens in the last episode of season 2, because I feel like I need to know now. This is all so confusing.
I just don't understand why it also has to be a series. Like, how many episodes are there?
It's only 12. It's like 2 miniseries.
Okay, so probably could have been one 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
Probably a better 70-minute movie, but...
Yeah. Oh, and at the end of season 2, I think Scott is still Santa. Yeah, at the end of season 2, Scott is still Santa. He realizes that, like, he's, like, forcing Cal into this role that Cal doesn't want to be in. And so it's, like, still at the end, it's still Tim Allen. At the end of the day, it's still fucking Tim Allen. You know what I mean?
Well, because Tim Allen's not ready to give up his position to anybody.
Right. Yeah. But I'll just say that, like, I think that, like, we've talked about a lot about, like, that Santa Claus is, like, a positive male role model. And I think that that's totally true. But I think that after watching there is still this very specific type of masculinity we're talking about here. And I think that a weird thing that enters into the conversation at the end of, in the Santa Claus 3, The Escape Clause, and the TV show, is that, like, still our hero of Christmas is a guy who looks like Tim Allen and can't be a guy who looks like Martin Short and can't be a guy who looks like Cal Penn. And, like, that to me, and, like, even, like, the Mad Santa is played by a guy, like, Eric Stonestreet, like, is another, like, round white guy. And so it's like everyone who we have seen historically be a Santa in this show is someone who looks like Tim Allen.
Yeah.
And so, like, we're nostalgic for... And so it's interesting that Aubrey brought up, like, the whole Black Santa thing at the beginning of the episode, because it's, like, that is such a trope outside of our canonical Santas. Because our Santa canon is a older, white, jolly, fat man. And that can be lovely at times. And it can also, when you have the weird conservative tone that the Santa Clauses ends up taking on, it ends up making you feel a little weird. Because you're like, okay, so then what is Tim Allen now as saying about this trope? And I just feel, my sort of final question is, why do we accept Santa's body as a fixed archetype? And what does it say about how we see sort of figures of fatherliness and masculinity in general?
Well, and it goes back to what I was talking about at the beginning of the last episode, where in this day and age, like, the pieces of media that are coming out that depict Santa Claus are Red One, Violent Nights, Bad Santa, all of that. It's all still just, like, disgruntled white guys who then go out and beat people up. And it's like, what are we doing? What do we, like, what is the meaning of Christmas?
Because you're totally right. And, like, the only one I can think about that was, like, a nice Christmas Santa movie that came out recently was the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell.
That was a while ago, wasn't it?
I don't know. 2018 and 2020.
Okay.
But, like, again, so it's 5 years ago. And, like, but that's the last, like, nice depiction of Santa I can think of.
Yeah. And the ones I'm thinking of were, I said Bad Santa. I meant whatever the fucking Jack Black one is. Where...
Oh, I don't know. Dear Santa.
Dear Santa.
That was last year.
Yeah. And then...
Oh, where he plays Satan.
Yes. Because a kid summons Satan instead of Santa.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just, I don't know. There's weird things going on afoot in the Santa world. And there's weird things going on in the world of masculinity. And speaking of weird things going on in the world of masculinity, I wanted to end on my favorite holiday movie from the past few years. Hot Frosty. Aubrey, did you watch Hot Frosty?
Mackenna, I watched Hot Frosty with my grandma the day my grandpa died. The night my grandpa died, and then it was the middle of the night, and then obviously, we all fell asleep, and then the next day was sorting things out, and then that night my aunt was like, let's put on a movie, and we watched Hot Frosty.
Did you feel healed by it?
No, I couldn't finish it.
It's so bad and so dumb, and I love it so much.
It's so bad. Well, then also, my grandpa died of cancer, and the main character, her husband died
of cancer.
And I was like, Aunt Lisa, I think maybe that was not the best pull for tonight.
So I think now that you've had some time and some distance from this grief, I would recommend giving Hot Frosty another shot, because it's the silliest movie I've ever seen. It's so silly. And doesn't Josh love Lacey Chabert?
He loves Lacey Chabert.
You and Josh need to sit down, you need to get cozy, and get yourself some Hot Frosty.
Well, I will, and I'll think of my grandpa.
Oh! Have a question or a topic that you would like for us to discuss? Send us an email at informedattraction@gmail.com.